Presidential Suite is a celebration of the election of Barack Obama as America's 44th president by Columbus artist Aminah Brenda Lynn Robinson. This RagGonNon is a centerpiece of a series of work that embodies the hopefulness in the hearts and minds of so many Americans who, like Aminah, were proud to witness the election of the country's first African-American president. For Aminah, the election of President Obama was indeed extraordinary and brought with it the hope that it would bring progress in regard to ending racism and discrimination. A new millennium in which the wrongs of the past would be remembered but not repeated. In this spirit, she titled the work Book of Revelations, a reference to the last book in the New Testament and its visions and prophecies about the ultimate triumph of good over evil. Aminah's art is an amalgam of the handed-down traditions of drawing, paper-making, and needlework she learned from her father and mother and the formal training she received in art school. She created the word RagGonNon to describe a complex work of art that has many layers, took years to create, and is never finished because those who see it constantly bring new ideas to it. In other words, it rags on and on. The RagGonNon echoes Aminah's belief that individuals are the products of the greater communities in which they have lived and embody the history and culture of their ancestors. For Aminah, the present and future are rooted in the past, the African concept of Sankofa. We can't move forward unless we know and understand where we've been. A section of the RagGonNon represents President Obama's connections to Africa. Africans in this part of the RagGonNon are depicted as proud figures representing the rich culture of African nations. Michelle Obama's ancestors, like Aminah's, have roots in Africa and experienced the horror of the Middle Passage and enslavement in the American South. In part of the RagGonNon, slaves struggled to haul the huge sandstone blocks used to build the U.S. Capitol in Washington, D.C. Aminah stitched portraits of the Obama family, including first dog Bo, meld into the colorful cloth background, suggesting the White House rose garden. Each figure in the RagGonNon has a music box that plays a spiritual hymn. These portraits, made of buttons, fabric, ties, and found objects, once belonging to random individuals, are further reminders of human connectedness. The bottom section of the RagGonNon is representative of the bridges and connections Aminah brought to this piece. At the time she was working on this RagGonNon, the Chilean mine rescue unfolded in a dramatic fashion. 33 miners were trapped underground for almost 70 days. For Aminah, this was a shining example of human kindness and caring at its best. President Obama later said on a visit to Chile, quote, "If ever we needed a reminder of the humanity and the hopes that we share, that moment in the desert was such. When a country like Chile puts its mind to it, there's nothing it can't do. When countries across Latin America come together and focus on a common goal, when the U.S. and others in the world do our part, there's nothing we can't accomplish together." End of quote. Aminah had spent an extended period of time in Chile as a guest artist in Santiago, and she felt a personal attachment to the country. In addition to referring to the rescued miners, she celebrates her hero, the Chilean poet Pablo Neruda. The hymns to bottles and socks at the bottom of the piece capture the spirit of Neruda's ode to common things. Like Aminah, he wrote of his crazy love of things, not just the grandest, also the infinitely small, which the poet went on to say, bear the trace of someone's fingers on their handle or surface. Aminah created this RagGonNon in the series Presidential Suite with great optimism, which echoed President Obama's campaign based on hope and the words of his inaugural address, which began, "On this day we gather because we have chosen hope over fear." Aminah wrote about this piece and the rest of the Presidential Suite. Hope is to remember on behalf of our ancestors. Hope is to remember on behalf of our young people coming up and those yet to come. Hope is to remember on behalf of the powerless so that we ensure the future is fair and merciful. Hope becomes the preservation of our humanity. It is our responsibility to remember. This body of work, the Presidential Suite, is a reminder, a cautionary tale that the wrongs of the past must not be repeated in the new millennium. She went on to say, "It is my hope that this body of work can give some measure of hope, encouragement, and enlightenment of historical, cultural, and ancestral lives for future generations.